So what is Sage Service Operations? First and foremost, Sage Service Operations is a cloud-based service management application. It will be integrated directly with service management to provide that real-time information that you'll be looking for, and also be able to invoice out in a quicker time frame because all of the information that is provided by your technicians out in the field will already be available. Sage Service Operations is also a time tracking tool, and it does have a responsive design. So this means that if you're working off of a smaller device, such as a tablet or a phone out in the field, it will change the look and feel of the solution to provide an easier way of managing and getting around to all of the information. Sage Service Operations is a time tracking tool, like I had said, and there are a couple of different options as far as how your technicians and employees out in the field can manage and track their time. The first option is going to be the punch action, so punching in and out of any assignment. This also provides the highest level of detail as far as traveling, starting, and suspending any time in the field. You can also use the standard time entry option, which would be recording a specific amount of hours based on any work order out in the field. So currently in the service industry, there can be several difficulties surrounding service-related processes. For your company, it might be efficiently allocating your time and resources. Maybe it's same-day completion of work orders due to lack of information or inventory. It could be lost paperwork orders, or which can result in inaccurate billing, or even collecting work orders from technicians, which can result in cash flow latency. All of which are manual processes that are still common within the service industry, and these challenges can lead to lost time and money for the company. So what can Sage Service Operations do for you? You may already be using the service management module within Sage 300 Construction and Real Estate, but with Sage Service Operations, you would have the ability to create work orders either by your technicians or by your service coordinator or manager. They would be able to accurately record the service-related information, and all of which is going to go directly back into your service management module. Sage Service Operations also provides the ability to create quotes out in the field as well as purchase orders. And this will also enhance the communication with your customers as well as the communication with your office. And within Sage Service Operations, there's also going to be a full service site history available to any of your technicians who you allow this option to. And of course, this also provides office staff visibility into what your technicians are doing at any time. All of these options are going to be security preferences within the software, and that gives you the ability to choose who does what with the software. And with that, let's go ahead and take a look at Sage Service Operations. So the first screen that you're looking at is going to be the dispatch board or dispatch scheduler within Sage Service Operations. And you may be familiar with this view as it looks similar to the dispatch board within service management. So from here, I have the ability to manage and track all of my technicians or all of the employees within my company. And I can also switch the view so that I'm either looking at a daily view, if you wanted to just look at that specific day in more of a 30-minute time frame. I can look out at the next 2 weeks, or even have a monthly view. And for the monthly view, I can go as far out as 6 months in advance. So that really gives you the ability to manage any upcoming PTO or holidays, or any of that information that's a little bit further out that you would like to have visibility into. So I'm currently looking at the full list of my technicians or employees within my company, but I can also create different groups within Sage Service Operations that will allow me to visualize any particular people with special skills, or maybe you're managing your technicians by different locations. So I can consolidate the view with the groups that I have the ability to create. On the left-hand side are going to be all of the work orders that have been created, and you'll also be able to see any that have been created within service management. And from this list, I have the ability to filter. So if you are assigning your work orders as unassigned, I can filter this so I'm just looking at those unassigned assignments. I can search by service site, by employee, by status. So I really have the ability to search for any of the appropriate work orders that I'm looking for. And I also have some flexibility with the columns that I can see in this left-hand panel here. So if I wanted to see the priority or the site, instead of the current options that I have, I could choose one of those and apply that. So from here, I have the ability to schedule out a new work order, and I can either use the More tab up at the top to schedule or create a new work order, or I can use the plus button. So when creating a new work order, I have the ability to either use the service site lookup, which is going to look through my service management service sites, or I can create a new service site directly from here. And you can either attach that to an AR customer or a job. And assuming that I do already have that service location in service management, I can choose directly from the lookup option, and that will automatically fill in some of the information that I have. So for Allstate University, I can see the address. The center is also chosen because that is the setting within service management. Same thing with the permission code. I can choose a different payment method, excuse me. And all of these drop-down menus are going to relate to the options that you currently have in service management. So I can choose a piece of equipment, and this is a piece of equipment that we already have recorded as installed at this location. And then if we had a customer purchase order or an alternate work order number, we can enter that in here. Then at the bottom, we can provide more information for the work order detail. So you have your full problem code list. We also have the call type, which we can choose directly from here. And if you are doing small jobs or agreements, these will provide some additional entry fields that you can enter in. Then the priority is going to have the color coding or color context that you would see normally within service management. Of course, we can provide a lead source and the estimated hours, which is also a default that we can choose within Sage Service Operations. And the assigned date and assigned time will automatically fill in, same with the assigned to. And this can be based upon the person who is assigned to this location within service management or the person who is creating the work order. And then a brief description or reason is going to be required. And once you generate the work order, that's going to do a couple of different things. So it will update the dispatch board that we first saw. It will also update your service management module. So now this new work order will be available. And then it is also going to update your technician's assignments page, which is what we'll be headed to next. But as for now, if you were creating the work order from a dispatcher or service coordinator perspective, you can continue to add in different notes, or if you wanted to specify which parts or materials that might be needed for this work order so that your technicians have that information readily available, you can still enter those in from here. So if I move into my assignments page, and I have this in a tablet view so that you can see it more realistically as what your technicians would be looking at. I can see the new work order has been created on this page. So this is going to give me the full list of what I have upcoming for the week. I can also consolidate this view so that I'm just looking at a daily view. And as I start to enter in time and record all of that information, you will see the daily total continue to calculate up. You can also see a weekly total down at the bottom. And this page also gives your technicians out in the field the ability to submit their weekly time, which can trigger an approval for their time out in the field if you do have an approval process for time. There's also going to be the assignment priorities down at the bottom, and that way your technicians always have visibility into the priority and the color context associated with their work orders. So from here, I can use the drop-down menu to start entering in different parts, or maybe I needed to create a new purchase order. I can also add hours and notes, so these will all be quick links to different areas of the work order. If I wanted to go to the service site history, I can go into Allstate University, and that will show me all of the previous work orders, the equipment that is installed, all of the different agreements that we might have. So I can see the full service site history directly from here. But if I wanted to get more information, I can drill down into the work order number. And that's going to bring me back to the overview page that I would have as a technician. So from here, I can get directions, and this will be integrated with Google Maps. So as long as you have Google Maps, it would go directly there. And then of course, I can see all of the information that was added by my dispatcher or service coordinator. And under the overview tab, I have some additional options as far as creating a new quote. And depending upon your quote process, you can either create a quote beforehand, and then once that is approved, turn that into a work order. Or if a new quote was necessary while you're out at that service location, you can create a new quote directly from here, and that will be tied to the original work order as well. If your technicians out in the field are creating purchase orders for the parts or the materials that they'll need for each work order, they can create a new purchase order directly from here. And within either of the options, the quote or the purchase order option, you do have the ability to add in pictures and all of that necessary information that you might require from your service techs. Under the notes section is where I'd be able to see any location notes. So if those have been added either in service management or they can be added in Sage Service Operations, you can add those directly from here, and they would always be visible on any work orders that are created for that location. I can also add in work performed comments, and you can also create different canned messages as far as quick notes for your technicians out in the field to use. And these areas will also be talk to text enabled. So if dictation is an option on your mobile device, you can just speak into this notes field and that will track all of the notes. And the work performed comments are going to be customer viewable, whereas the office comments are going to be only visible by your office staff. So once I submit those notes, they will be visible in service management. And then once under the assignments tab, I can record all of my time. So this is going to be the punch actions option that we talked about earlier. So from here, I could record that I've started traveling. And you also have automatic emails that can go out to the customer based off of different assignments. And this will go to the contact's email. So I can email them directly from here when I've started traveling. This will notify them that I've started traveling to their location. And then of course, once I'm done traveling, I can go ahead and start the assignment. And then that gives me different options. So as I continue to go throughout the work order, I can provide different details as far as this assignment is concerned. Under the flat rate option, we have the option to add any flat rate items. So this will be, the different flat rate items that you currently have within service management that you can add. We can also add in different parts. So we can go into a part lookup. So this is going to be all of the inventory that we currently have. And I can even enter in multiple parts, which will give me more of a grid view. So this will also show me the sales price, and then I can also choose from the stock location. So where am I taking these parts from? You can also tie this to the piece of equipment that we had noted that we'd be working on for this particular work order, and we can choose whether or not this will be customer viewable. Now, if you didn't want to go into the enter multiple parts option, you can go save and new in order to record all of those different parts. Otherwise, you can choose to save this piece of inventory, and that will be noted on this work order as well as the service report that goes out to this customer. Within Sage Service Operations, you also have the ability to track refrigerant, and then any purchase order inventory items will be noted down at the bottom in this section. From Sage Service Operations, either within a specific work order or just generally, you do have the ability to manage your parts. So if you're ever changing, the inventory stock from the overall warehouse, into different people's trucks, you can manage those parts directly from here. If you're not tracking inventory, you can use the miscellaneous items option in order to add different items that may have been used on this work order. And then your technicians would have the ability to enter in the quantity as well as the unit cost and the unit sale. But you can also leave these options blank so that anyone who is in the office can actually add these items instead. So as far as tracking time, we already went over the punch actions option, which once the service has been completed, they can of course choose to complete, and that will update the assignment. And then the other option is going to be recording a specific amount of hours. So this would be the labor field. And when I choose to add labor, it will automatically fill to my name. The pay type and product will also automatically fill in. And then we have the option to determine the cost hours versus the billable hours. And if I enter in the cost hours, the billable hours will automatically enter in, but I do have the ability to change this. And then I can save the labor directly from here. If you want to add pictures onto the work order, you can add attachments down at the bottom here. So I can choose from my files. If you are working off of a phone or a tablet, this will go directly to your camera roll. So you can also take pictures, throughout providing service for this customer, and then add all of those pictures towards the end. And choosing the category will have some additional search capabilities. So once that image has been uploaded, I also have sketch capabilities. So if I wanted to provide further context as far as this image is concerned, I can bring the image in and mark the image up as needed. So I have, different shapes or different stroke colors that I can choose from. So I can provide, different squares or, highlight different areas. Then I can send this picture out to whoever might need that. So if I wanted the, excuse me, the customer to have this image, I could enter their email directly from the bottom. So once all the information has been entered, I can go into the Reports tab, where I also have additional reports that I can choose from down at the bottom. And this is going to be from the form builder within Sage Service Operations. So if you did want to build out any custom forms to gather additional information, you can choose to create those, and the form builder is pretty easy to use. And just to show you what that would look like, so if I wanted to create this additional report, this is what the entry field, this is just a basic report. We could enter in some additional information. We also have the project location. Some of these options will fill in automatically, such as the salesman, the description can automatically fill in based upon the work order description. And then you have the ability to choose different pictures or sketches. So you can really build out the forms as needed for your company and save those as a PDF copy. And you also have some abilities as far as when you can warn or require those to be filled out for your technicians. And once all the information is filled into the work order, I can choose to create the work order ticket or service report. And I can still customize this as needed from here. Of course, this would have your company logo. If I wanted to remove some of these areas, such as the description, I can take that out or minimize any additional entries, such as the labor. And then down at the bottom, I can specify whether or not this job has been completed. I can also type in the customer name and email address with any additional comments. Again, this will be a talk to text enabled notes field. And then down at the bottom, I have signature capture capabilities. So I can have the customer sign off. And then of course I can have my employee sign off. And once I accept the terms of the agreement, this report, as well as any of the other pictures that I choose, can all go out to the customer, to their customer email. Sage Service Operations also allows for different review and approval processes as far as the work orders are concerned. So if I was the office staff, I could check off that this had been reviewed, or the account manager. So I can check off that all of those pieces have been reviewed. And then back in service management, if I go into Sage 300 construction and real estate, I can go into Allstate University, which is where I just created that work order. And I can see this new work order, it has been completed. And all of the information that was entered will be available within this section as well. So it is real-time information. I can see all of the costs, the inventory items that were used, And then since that information has already been entered, I can just go through and actually create the invoice directly from here. So it really allows that flexibility and will enhance your cash flow with using Sage Service Operations in tandem with service management.